YouTube, we are in the top 8 grand finale and top deck list of the Meta Weekly. By watching as long as you can, that greatly supports these videos, even if you have us on in the background while you're doing laundry or working out. Thank you very much. Hajime.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Let's start this off with Branded Despia against Snake Eye Fire King. Shotgunning the grass looking greener, milling a ton of cards off the top of the deck. What do we have milled here? Holy moly. We got the Mercurier, Destruction Protection with the Branded Opening. We have a Branded Lost in Grave, which we could add back with something like a Retribution. We have double damage Destruction Protection with the Branded Opening. And we have a Lubellian Engrave. Albion can activate Engrave to send a Retribution, and so can the Bestial Serenir. Pretty good mill. Also, the Tragedy being sent to the graveyard, triggering to search our deck for an Aliber, which could grab a Branded Fusion. But there is an Impermanence. But we do have an out to the Impermanence through the Fusion deployment. Fua Loss is going to ensure that we draw every time they summon from the deck or extra deck, this being one of the draws as we summon Cartesia. Bro, there's a Fua Loss. We don't care about Fua Loss, dude. You're going to summon a Quem from the deck, giving them even more drawn cards? Retribution's going to add back the Banishment Engrave, set it up. Kirin is going to be popping the Garunix to be activating to summon during the next standby phase, wiping out all other monsters on the field. The Albion Branded Dragon's going to set up the Branded Red. Titanclad is going to summon from the deck under Fua Loss. We draw again. Quem send from the deck a Branded High Spirits. High Spirits is going to be adding back to the hand during the end phase. Good for discard fodder. Now, as I said, the Garunix is triggering after being destroyed by the Kirin to come forth and summon. We're going to respond with a Max C as it now activates to wipe out all other monsters on the field. We're going to chain the Skyburn. So what has to be understood here is we're targeting the Branded Red in Banishment, and we're about to destroy the Mirror Jade. But the Mirror Jade is not going to be destroyed because we do have a Branded Opening Engrave to protect it from destruction, but it already activated to banish. So the Mirror Jade itself being on the field is not that big of a deal. We may just let it get destroyed on purpose. We're going to chain Branded in Red, grab an Albaz Engrave, chain Maxi to that Albaz being added back. We're going to chain Banishment to Reborn the Tragedy and then have the ability to optionally fuse with either side of the field for level 8 or higher fusions. We're going to fuse away the Quem and Tragedy into a Coritis. Now, the Branded Opening does not protect just one fusion. It will protect all of them from destruction. Maxi, add back the Albaz. We did not fuse. We passed on the fusion because of that Max C. Not because of the Garunix wiping away monsters. As I said, the opening would have protected. We're going to chain the High Spirits. So it has to be understood right now, we have no disruption until we add a Mercurier. Do we have a Mercurier? Yes, we do. Mercurier to our hand, ready to negate a monster effect. The Kirin, Reborning Garunix to take out the Mirror Jade activating to wipe out all opposing monsters during the end phase. The Mercurier is dead. We can't use it, actually, because we had to have Mirror Jade on field. Well, why didn't we used opening already to protect. We couldn't use it again. Now Link reboot up. I guess we're taking the Maxi challenge, which we now have Serenir to potentially block lethal damage. The problem with blocking lethal damage with the Serenir, not a Druid Swarm, is that the Zealantis is going to be able to destroy it, non-targeting, and then attack directly for game. There's another situation here, though, the Coritis. The Coritis states specifically that it does not matter, but it is only while face-up if it leaves the field. So if you, if you banish it while face-up, it triggers to summon an Albaz, then fuse. So the Zealantis is not an out to the Coritis. Thus, it is important to use the Flame Burst to push the Coritis into the back row instead of triggering it with the Zealantis. Holy draw. Now, the Serenir is playable at more than one, of course, due to the ban list, but only one's activatable in a single turn. We cannot summon more than one. We desperately need to draw into more Bestials here, as we now go into the Raging Phoenix. 15 cards in the hand. When will this madness end as we go into a World Sea Dragon Zealantis? Is this it? We're not done. Come forth and summon Diablo Star. 17 cards in the hand. 7,500 damage. Not enough. Oh, wait, did we have enough? Well, we could pop the wolf to then summon the Raging Phoenix if it were not enough. Holy moly, Chris has surrendered after the Maxi challenge has been taken. Both players, Fualasin, Maxian. This is madness. Now, of course, the Maxi and Fualas are not disruptions, but we're going to imperm negate the Alibur just like that. The Branded in High Spirits is actually not very good right now. Because you have to reveal a monster with the same type as a fusion monster, and what is Alibur? A fairy. What is Maxi? An insect. Do we have any fairies or insects in the extra deck? The Caritas is a fiend, so it does not work out. Now, if the Maxi were a Fualas, Fualas is a winged beast. You could use Fualas with your Branded in High Spirits, as the Fualas would have definitely been better than Maxi. This is horrible. This is nothing. I mean, we just have Maxi, that's it. Let's see. Maxi for the win. It's gonna carry us big time. But Nonstop DC took the Maxi challenge in game 1, and we are in the same scenario where we could put out lethal damage, or we could just draw into a card that we could now use High Spirits with. Okay, that does work. As we couldn't send the Alibur, we draw into the Cartesia. The Grand Granole will trigger Engrave. The Grand Granole is going to be able to special summon a Dogmatica or Despia monster onto the field. We're going to be summoning the Poplar. Poplar is summoned through its own effect, which is a monster effect, which triggers the Grand Granole to summon from the deck or extra deck. We're going to be adding our own Maxi into the mix here. Come forth and summon. What is it going to be? A Quem. Quem could send an Albaz. Now, what's interesting here is the Quem, if you move a card from the extra deck by summoning a Link, Rebo, Hida, it does not matter. The Quem's now going to trigger to reborn the Albaz to fuse with your field, which is a disruption, which then turns on the Mercurier, which then what you summon is likely a Mirror Jade, which is another disruption. So this single Quem is solely going to turn on triple disruption if we play into it. Oh boy. Ash and Poplar, summon for the deck Flameburst. So what do? Push the Quem into the back row without touching the extra deck. Perfectly done. 3 disruption to none. We're gonna original Sinful Send Poplar, summon a Ponix. Of course, this is all under Maxi. 5 cards in the hand so far. As we set up the Fire King Sanctuary into a Fire King Island, pop the Garunix, grab a Garunix, trigger the Garunix. Oh my goodness. Surrendering under the effect of Maxi. He knew that he could not draw anything. You knew that they were going to take the Maxi challenge all the way, and you knew that there was nothing you could draw to stop them. You don't play a Nibiru, nothing. Damn, that is wild. Poplar on summon, searching for our Divine Temple. We have the Ash Negate interaction with the deck. We have Masquerena summonable with the Flameburst to go into a double Little Knight Banish. We have the Formula Synchron going into a Baron de Flor for an Omni Negate. We have the Promethean Princess in Grave, ready to pop a monster on special summon. We have about 5 disruption. Very nice. Let's see what's good. 5 disrupt plus the Maxi. Snake Eye Ash is going to be met with an Ash Blossom negating the Snake Eye Ash, as we also chain our Flameburst to reborn our Masquerena from our back row. You are going to Wanted Seeker. I'm going to chain Wanted Seeker, as I also chain Formula Synchron, also adding a Maxi on top of this. Holy moly! If we scooped the Maxi, that means we scooped to Formula Synchron drawing a card on Synchro. That was Formula Synchron for the win. Sylvia of the White Forest grabbing a Woes from the deck. 1 for 1. Discard Poplar to summon from the deck a Snake Eye Ash. Let's speed this up. If we played another level 10 Synchro, we could reborn the Formula Synchron. We do not. So what's going to happen here is we have the Baron de Flor untargetable negate, Masquerena double Little Knight banish. We have Impermanence negate a monster. We have Promethean Princess pop on special summon. We have Woes with the ability to flip the entire opposing field face down. I'm counting 6 disruption. Now, what we could do is Woes into a level 6 Synchro, Elf, Reborn Formula Synchron to turn the level 6 Synchro into a level 8. Is that another form of disruption? That could go into a Diabel, and then Diabel could flip the field face down again. So I guess it's actually 7 disruption if that actually happens, and please do, I would love to see it. I doubt it's going to happen. Oh, we discarded Ash though, so Ash will not be negating the Woes. Flameburge, Reborn the Masquerena. Hey, Baron de Flor is banned. You what, mate? We have Ponix activating to search for a Fire King Sanctuary. Sanctuary setting up the Fire King Island. Pop in the Ponix, searching for the Garunix. Trigger the Garunix. Come forth and summon. Trigger its effect on field. Imperm attempts to negate as we have a Kirin to dodge the negate. But do we Baron de Flor negate the dodge? Negate. Now, generally, what is this trying to do? It's trying to destroy a Kirin from the deck to then summon a Fire King to then pop a card in the field. And now the Baron de Flor is doing it for them by destroying the Kirin to do exactly what I just said. Yep, Kirin is... Here's the thing, though. Kirin activates to summon a Fire King. If we don't have another Fire King besides the other Kirin, because this Kirin can't be summoned, then it pops nothing. But we could clearly publicly see that the Ponix Engrave is summonable with the Kirin, thus it's going to summon and pop a card in the field. It's non-targeting, so the elf that is not going to be protecting. Masquerena, by summoning a Little Knight, will be indestructible by card effect from the Kirin effect of summoning the Ponix. Summon Ponix, goodbye to Elf. As we Little Knight, so we lost one of our forms of disruption here. We're gonna Little Knight banish as the Flameburst reborns. So what are we down to in terms of disruption? We have Woes, Little Knight, and we have Promethean Princess. 3 disrupt left, that is it. On the summon, do we use Promethean? No, we're gonna wait on that. To battle we go, take out the Birch. Goodbye to the Oak. We still have a full field flip face down, plus Promethean and Little Knights. Link Karibo on summon. We're now gonna Woes, summon from the deck Elzette, going into the Silvera to flip down the Diablo Star. Why would we be doing this right here, right now? Well, usually when you see a Link Karibo plus another monster, you're thinking Little Knight. We do want to stop Little Knight from being summoned. What we have left is Little Knight and Promethean summoning the Snake Eye Ash. I'm choking. Little Knight on summon, chain banishing the Baron de Flor. We're resetting Baron de Flor. Baron de Flor is once while face up, it can negate, and it comes back in the end phase, ready to negate again. All we have left is Promethean. That's it. We have to pop it, right? Well, we can't. We can't. Where's our fire? We have no fire. Fire's gone. Wow. In the battle phase, did we take out their only fire monster? Is that what we were doing? By destroying the Birch and the Oak? What? Oh my Jesus. We went out of our way to get rid of their fires. Wow, we got nothing. We turned off the Promethean. Very smart. As we now summon a Flameburge from the deck. Flameburge pushing back the Little Knights, further making our own Promethean Princess. Triggering the Flameburge, reborn the Ponix and the Poplar. Promethean reborning the Kirin as we now make an Amblo Whale under the Fire Monster lock. We're no longer locked as we now make a Zelantis. And Ludmilla is just thinking, damn, I had Promethean, mate. I can't summon my Promethean. Now, we could still summon the Sylvie from Engrave during the battle phase, that is. So we, whoa. We're not even wait, what? This is all main phase. Whoa. It wasn't main phase 1. There's no second battle phase in Macedol? What the heck? Well, beyond that, we do have the Mask Arena, which could link off into a Little Knight or an Apollo USA. So it's about a double disruption here. The Zealantis is not really doing much. We don't have a way to trigger the Kieran unless they special summon a monster, which would trigger the Promethean, which would then trigger the Kieran to pop a card in the field. We do have about 4 disruption, but as I said, the Baron de Floor is turned back on. Their timer was low? What do you mean? It was main phase 2, right? We swung in the battle phase, then we main phase 2'd. There's a game update? Uh-oh. Damn, it might get leaking. Get wiping with the Fire King Island. Say goodbye to the Mask Arena. The Amble Whale is triggering to pop a card in the field, and the Kieran is also triggering, getting Chainlink blocked by Diablo Star. Very carefully putting the worst effect on the highest Chainlink to protect the destruction and destruction as we now pop 2 cards in the field. Negate the Diablo Star. Reborn Ponix, say goodbye to Baron de Floor. Amble Whale, say goodbye to the Silvera. Ponix searching for a Sky Burn as we now triple Tactics Talent. Yoink the Ponix. Your Ponix is mine. Sylvie, return the Silvera from the grave back in the deck to special summon to then link off into a Hida. Hida can now steal an opposing monster. By stealing their Ponix, you essentially turned off their Promethean Princess. Thank you for the Flameburst. I'm going to equip my own Flameburst. Alzette's going to send Flameburst, summon Alzette, add an Esteller, trigger the Flameburst Engrave, reborn 2 level 1 fires. This is getting wild. Snake Eye Oak on summon, add back the Birch Engrave to be special summonable, to then come forth and make an Amblow to the Whale. Estellar's going to send Poplar to summon from the deck a Sylvie. Sylvie going to search the deck for a Tales of the White Forest. And with that, we're now going to be making a Silvera. To battle, we go. Let's go. Lethal damage. Very well done. Stealing the Ponix to turn off the Promethean. Battling into the Fire Monster to turn off our own Promethean. Begin. We have Circular, send from the deck a Sigma to special summon itself. Special summon Sigma to trigger its effect to search our deck as the Veiler negates. Negate that Circular, which can only search for a spell or trap card, Matchmech card, while the Allenbert can search for a monster, spell, or trap. Ash negate the hand trap draw. Now, we do have the ability of the Firewall Terahertz to get a Deceive Worm or an Aggregator Engrave. That's going to be a disruption. Imperm will be a disruption. Sign of Conflict will be a negate and banish. The Super Factorial will be able to send a card on the field and hand to the grave. I'll just count that as 1 disruption, plus giving us the ability to Omni negate. That is 5 total disruptions. Now, grouping up the Sign of Conflict as just a regular old disruption is doing it a disservice. It is not only negate anything, it also banishes that card, and your opponent cannot further activate any cards or effects with the same original name as that card you negated and banished. That is massive. Now, it's important to note, the ruling of this card is you have to banish the card to then turn off for the rest of the turn that original name. So, for example, if I activate Ash Blossom and Signet Conflict activates the effect to negate the activation and banish it, and then you can't use Ash for the rest of the turn, right? That's not how that works. The Ash would not get banished, but you can only use the effect of Ash once per turn anyway. So, you know, a little bit of a ruling back and forth there to understand there. Hopefully you're not confused. Negate the Heat Soul draw. Someone in chat saying DD Crow's stocks are up. Really? Club of the Grave fingering that Deceive Worm. We just lost a form of disruption. We're now down to 4. We're going to Piri Reese map, searching for our Samsara D-Lotus, as the Imperm preemptively negates that D-Lotus with 3 more disruptions left. The best option left was to surrender. Let's go. Spirit Yubel, return back Yubel and itself to come forth, make a Phantom Yubel and pass. We have essentially a Monster Negate, Ash, and Max C. Let's go. Subtractor is attempting to subtract and then summon. We're going to be chaining Max C before the summon of that Subtractor. As you can clearly see, Phantom Yubel is now minus 1,000. Sure. Set Imperm pass. Back to you. We don't want to make any more plays under Max C. Now, what do? There's another freaking Max C. Let's link off into a Linguribo to help negate that infinite impermanence. Whoa! 2-for-1 special. We negated Phantom of Yubel and the impermanence. But there's that dreaded Max C. Understand, Max C is semi-limited. There's only 2 in today's event. Yet we have both of them. We're going to Splash Mage it up. Reborn, I think it probably is correct to go all the way. The Gachiri is going to make the Terahertz unaffected from the Veiler. Ooh, well, we just Veil it before we would be unaffected by the Veiler, and now we are affected by the Veiler. And we also Ash Blossom negate the Terahertz, sending a card from the deck or extra deck to the grave. Big oof. Not good. Well, oh boy, yep, that just happened. We at least get to wipe out the negated Phantom of Yubel, set a dead Signet Conflict, but the Terahertz could still use the ability of a Deceive Worm or an Aggregator to help negate. Negate a spell or trap card, or we can negate a face-up card in the field. Ooh, a big oof again. Let's read this. Does this card say you can only activate it once per turn? No. Now, is this a mistake? It's just we did not expect them to have 2. That's the problem. So we can, in fact, activate another one. This is the activation of the card. Wait. Oh, we didn't send Aggregator. We sent Deceive Worm instead. Okay, that's actually smarter. Thank you. Good job, Sniper. So I would say it would have been a mistake to send the Aggregator because we want to negate the activation of the effect, not the card. Well done. Yes, correct. Negate. Now we can't use the other one. But Triple Tactics Talent's going to go for a draw to play. It's worth noting that the Terahertz does negate any monster effect activated in the battle phase only. So the Terahertz is actually a great counter to Tenpai, sometimes. Lord Iyama's going to grab the Shavara. We're going to discard the Spirit Yubel, Reborn Spirit Yubel, to then pop it with the Shavara. Come forth as the Spirit Yubel triggers to summon from the deck a Yubel, return in grave to summon a Phantom of Yubel. And how big was that Terahertz? We had big reflection. Well, it was boosted, right? Oh boy, yup. Lethal damage with double Yubel. Taking this into game number 3 was 5K. Yup. Begin. Called by Imper and pass. We do have Max C to then finger the Ash. Just like that. That is what I'm talking about. Negate the Ash Blossom. Now, what do? We are under the effect of Max C. Plus, they have Impermanence and a Nibiru. Nibiru is very easy to play around if you are a Yubel player. Very simply make a Phantom of Yubel. The problem is the Imperm can negate the Phantom of Yubel, and then on the resolution, you would then use your Nibiru. But of course, under the effect of Max C, they're not going to even get that far. Wow, our hand sucks. Gachiri can't be summoned. The Parallel Exceed cannot be summoned. That is insanity. Had we had a normal summon, literally any hand trap, we could have summoned an Almirage to then trigger the Parallel Exceed. Now, the Nibiru is a hand trap, but the wrong type of hand trap. We need one that can actually be summoned. Nightmare Pain, we're at 2. Or the count of summons here. We're about to go into 3. We're about to go into 4. On the 5th summon, Nibiru is ready. And just like that, Nibiru is in available play. As I said, we're going to have to Imperm the Phantom of Yubel, then on resolution, Nibiru the field. Well, now we don't have to worry about that. This is still fine. We can Nibiru chain Imperm, Whoa. I don't think this is affected. Okay, it's affected by Nibiru. Light Monster was not used, so letting the Imperm get banished is fine. Perfectly fine. Now, tribute off the field, as only Dark Monsters were used to summon that Chaos Angel. Triple Tactics talent. This is why you want to generally summon your monster in defense in case they have that card to take control of your monster, then go for game. We're going to Spirit Gates, discard Reborn Spirit Yubel, add back the Nightmare Pain Engrave, as we now summon our Phantom of Yubel to reflect an entire 1200 damage. Now with Nibiru, can we link this off? No, we need another body to trigger the link. But a Matchmech Circular is a good card to be summoning. We're going to Phantom of Yubel, negate the effect of the Sigma, attempting to reborn itself from Engrave. It ain't happening. And that will trigger the Spirit Yubel to summon a Yubel from the deck. Let's now trigger the Parallel Exceed. Just like that. Activate, summon from the deck another Parallel Exceed. Our Ash is still fingered, right? Holy fusion! What the? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 cards sent to the grave for our Yubel loving defender. Burning for 2,500 and sending the opponent back to Fortnite. We have Airlifter getting hit with the Impermanence. Nothing to finger, no emergency to dodge the Impermanence. Negate. We're not done. We've only just begun as we now make a Zelantis. Zelantis is going to put itself into the main monster zone, which will ensure that we could co-link with the Promethean Princess. She does not point up, thus she points to the left and right, and this is going to ensure that we could co-link within the battle phase to then non-target destroy 2 cards on the field. That is why you want to make that play. Or disrupt. What is good? Emergency, summon Preventer, send Preventer to then trigger Preventer to reborn a banished Hydrant, giving our back row cards additional abilities. Now, Volcanics is going to go through, does not get negated by the Contain because we would dodge it with a Kirin. I would say that is correct to be careful about that. Ponix being summoned to search for a Skyburn. This will destroy up to 2 back row cards. Now, it's important to understand the ruling on Skyburn. If we look at a card like Escape of the Unchained, it does not pop anything if the monster that you are targeting to pop plus another card is off the field. So a good way to counter Escape is to chain a removal to the Escape. Now, does this work that way? And maybe if you target 2 to pop 2 and you pop one of them with another effect, it only pops 1 card in the field, right? There's a lot of situations that you'd want to fully understand this with. Now, to dive deep in this real quick, you target 2 Fire King and 2 cards in the field, which is what we're doing right now. It says destroy them. These don't have to be here. It's still going to destroy them. We cannot stop it by using the Extinguish. It is one of the cards that's being targeted, but it would not stop the other card from being destroyed. The Volcanics is getting hit. What else was targeted? We targeted the Extinguish and the Rescue, so we're making sure to use both. Sure. Now, this was very important. By using the Kirin to dodge the Extinguish, the other effect of Extinguish is now not active, which would have ensured that the Volcanics Engrave would not be able to activate to summon a Garunix from the deck, and now it will. Rescuing our Preventer in Grave here. Wiping out the back row, triggered the Volcanics, summoned from the deck the Garunix, and now we can make the rank 8 Xyz Hyang. Hyang will possibly get contained, and by containing it, it now can't be used for a link summon. It's negated, it cannot attack, it cannot be used for a fusion or link. We're gonna Fire King Sanctuary, but I can still pop it. By popping it, it activates Engrave, but we could finger it. The activation Engrave is special summon Fire Kings from your graveyard up to the number of materials this card had, which was 2. We're also going to be chain triggering the Garunix, which can now pop a card from our deck, hand, or field. Get ready for that activate. We still have Preventer Mate to flip a card on the field face down. The Kieran has not yet been triggered to reborn a Fire King to the non-target pop a card in the field. The Preventer, knowing that it likely would have been popped, is going to flip down the Garunix. Now, wow. That was beautiful. Because the Arvata now has no fire monster to destroy. Even though it kind of was obvious to do that, the Arvata's screwed. We are going to be summoning the Raging Phoenix. We have no way to negate, but we could at least simply take out the opposing Hydrants. And still, Arvata has... we need to destroy one other fire monster that has to be face up on the field. Well, the Ponix gets added back, so it's now activatable to negate. That's great. In Grave, we have no Promethean Princess. Both of the Kirins are in trouble. The Skyburn is going to protect ourselves from being destroyed by the Extinguish here. That was a powerful play. That's good, as the Arvata would have not been able to trigger in Grave. When are we negating? Now. Negate the Hydrant. Now, our negate does not destroy, does not banish, simply negates destroying the Ponix, and now back to you. Banish the entire field. Don't return it back, special summon it back. Thus, that is how the Promethean Princess in Grave will be able to trigger. Let's get triggering. We're going to be popping the Arvata first. Popping the Garunix first would have been a massive mistake. If you leave the Garunix to be the final monster that you pop, nothing triggers. Nothing bad happens. What's going to happen that's bad is that Kieran is going to be ready to be triggering in Grave in response to a destruction. So how do we deal with it? Extinguish would have been a good way to destroy it, but we already used our Extinguish. We're going to be making a Nightmare Phoenix, triple tactics talent, take control of the Kieran, and now it's no longer a problem. There you go. Hida is here. Hida steal from the graveyard, an Oak. Let's speed this up. Oak is going to be reborning the Hydrant. To battle we go. We can destroy everything on the field. Island attempting to wipe out the remaining monsters, which there are none. It just like that. Lethal damage. Very nice. Begin. Send Fualas into Diablo Star. Diablo Star is here, triggering to set up an original Sinful into the back row. Send that Diablo Star, summon from the deck, nothing, as the Ash Blossom negate. The leaks are leaking in my throat. Do we all miss the days of Gamma negating open field hand trap activations? We have the ability of the Kieran to pop an Alcanix to summon a Garunix in the deck is not possible because the Garunix is in Grave. We do have the Sacred Garunix in Grave, which could pop an Arvata, and then if we could pop the Kieran, we could then have the ability to reborn the Arvata, summon it from the hand that is or from the graveyard to then have a monster negate plus the Kieran pop and the Promethean Princess in Grave. Promethean popping Kieran, I think, is the play, plus the Impermanence. So this is Quadra Disruption we have to deal with. Reinforce our hand with an Airlifter. Airlift it off. Imperm, attempt to negate. We could emergency dodge the Impermanence, and that's exactly what we intend to do. Summon Send Lifter. As we dodged the Impermanence, we'll now be searching for our Rescue, which can... Ooh, Rescue with a Hydrant can target a monster in the opponent's graveyard instead to special summon it onto your field. Now, if we read Promethean, maybe you don't want Alcanix to be destroyed by card effect because it will trigger the in-grave Sacred Garunix, right? Well, does that even happen if we steal it? Let's read it. Target a fire, destroy them if you do special summon this card. It's still going to destroy, even if you rescue, steal it. But yeah, and your Hydrant's also going to be destroyed. So yoinking this in the grave, how beneficial will that be? Would it be even better to maybe steal the Garunix before it activates, or maybe on its activation to summon, then steal it? We are preempting the rescue to steal the Garunix early. Should we? We could not wait. We had to do it now because the Hydrant would have been off the field. It needs Hydrant to use it, so that is correct. Yoink it now. and now the Sacred Garunix does not trigger. Nicely done. Bonfire searching our deck for the Poplar. And remember, I was saying the Promethean needed to pop the Kirin for a good play, and without that play, we did lose out on quite a bit of disruption. We had a potential 3 disruption to now, we got nothing now after that Promethean. We had Preventer into the back row as we then send it to the graveyard through the effect of the original Sinful to not only summon a Hydrant, but to also potentially trigger the Preventer if we wanted to summon a banished monster, which there was none. We're going to banish 2 Rescue Ace cards engraved to summon our Turbulence. And with our Turbulence, we're going to set up not 1, not 2, not 3, but up to 4 cards, or exactly 3. Hydrant allowing the early activation of Alert because we have Hydrant we could add from our deck instead of just from the grave. Preventer banishing the in-grave Airlifter. And now let's lift this off into a Hida. Hida ready to steal a monster from the opponent's graveyard. Come to us as we're now going to pop the Promethean Princess to summon the Kirin. Typhon, what? Typhon is gonna win a game. Ain't no way. Return the Kirin back. Typhon for lethal damage over 12,900 damage. Typhon is great. 1 out of 100 times. Wow. Great use of Typhon. Many will argue that was win more and was not needed, but we're not going to look into that. Begin. Send the Ash with the original Sinful. Ash, negate the original Sinful mate. Now we can triple Tactics Talent, go for that draw to play. Is this the way? As we follow up with triple Tactics Talent for the draw 2, and I do think we are in the top 4. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here because of all the craziness that's happening in today's stream. Said pass. Thank you, Chip Owie. Appreciate that. We are ready with the Super Poly. The emergency will not turn into anything of value. When do we optimally fuse it up? We're waiting for the effect of the D-Lotus, allowing the activation of the Spirit of Yubel. We do not want to fuse the D-Lotus early because the Spirit Gates would just reborn it back. Nightmare Pain. Nicely done on the activation of the effect, not on the activation of the card. So we're going to summon a Garura and force them to destroy a Dark in the Hand. Now, there's no Dark in the Hand to destroy. And in the TCG, I don't know if y'all get upset when I keep up bringing the TCG, but it's just interesting. Back when I played, you'd have to confirm you have no Dark Monster in the hand. But in the TCG today, I believe we abide by the rule of fair play, right? What's it called again, Gianna? Fun game, fair game, and you're not allowed to verify. You can't even call a judge to verify that there's no Dark in the hand that they would have to destroy. Trust me, bro? Yes, but said nicer. Discard to reborn the D-Lotus. That's BS, you know? Let's summon our little knight. Now, we could have chain link blocked the Little Knight with the Garura if we wanted to. Instead, we are blocking the Garura, and do we really want that drawn card? Well, we do get fingered on that drawn card, unfortunately. Now we're going to Little Knight. We are begging, please, no, activate a monster effect so I can use my triple tactics talent. How do you finger me and imperm me? No! As we don't even get to banish the Spirit Gates now. That's a problem. How do we trick them to activate a monster effect? Please, please. That was desperate. Yeah, all right. Did not work. Had to do a little Ash check. Let's hop into game number 2. I think it's very important to note that when you're playing yourself, if your opponent is starting to erratically activate effects that don't make sense, maybe they have a triple tactics talent. Maybe if you respond to them acting erratically, you're now going to get screwed by the TTT taking control or drawing 2. And we've seen it a lot We've seen bait effects, bait plays, and the opponent activating a monster effect when they should have not done so. Do not just activate willy-nilly whenever you want within the opponent's main phase. Again, I don't think Nibiru would be considered cheating in that deck, right? That'd be fine. Add a Poplar, trigger the Poplar, summon it as we now hit them with the Fua Loss. Hit them with the Ash Blossom, negate the Fua Loss, which I could still activate another Fua Loss. Get Fua Loss in. Talking about playing around Triple Tactics talent, I'm not going to say it's incorrect to not Fua Loss in the draw phase, but that's why you Fua Loss in the draw phase sometimes. Because now you lose your Ash Blossom, where the Ash could have been what triggered the Triple Tactics talent, but the Ash could have stopped a very powerful effect like the original Sinful, where it wouldn't have been that much of a big deal. We're going to airlift off, grabbing an Alert from the deck. Alert could also further search our deck, come to us Turbulence. The small detail, just the nuance of Triple Tactics talent. I believe with this duel, the context of that, I think TTT has pretty much won this, right? Had we Fua Loss in the draw phase instead, this would have been a completely different duel. Set up into the back row. I don't think many people think about this. I think they either just draw phase it or not. But if we change our mindset to my hand is a Fua Loss and an Ash, if I want to protect my Ash from a card like Triple Tactics talent, only because I have another hand trap, only then will I Fua Loss in the draw phase. Where otherwise, if I just have Fua Loss and I don't have another important hand trap to protect from a card like Triple Tactics talent, then maybe it would be more okay to hold on to that Fua Loss to use it right when we especially know they're going to be summoning from the extra deck or the deck. You know, you can let me know if you think that's a good mindset to be following. Thrown off the top of the deck, ain't no way we're going to pop a Spirit of Yubel to summon a Yubel. We have the Emergency to give us access to Preventer. Say goodbye to the Impulse. We can now flip them onto the field face down, but everything gets fused. It's important to note, we can't contain, we can't extinguish unless we control a Rescue Ace. While the Rescue and Rescue Ace will rescue our monster, or the Preventer being sent to the grave will reborn a banished monster. Super Poly. I really thought that on the release of Yubel that Super Poly would have been a lot more prevalently used. As we activate the Airlifter plus chain the Rescue, reborning our Preventer back onto the field. With the newly resummoned Preventer, we can now use the effect to flip a monster face down as we have not used it yet. So flip down. We also have Contain and Extinguish. Wow. We did not try to stop that from happening. We're just going to hold it. Sure. Little Knight. What do we do here? Contain. Wow. Or just say goodbye. I mean, it does come back with the Rescue Ace HQ, so it's not goodbye for good. Sure. Just holding. We hold it. There was a pro play we could have attempted to do, but because we are in a tournament in the top 4, we know we're playing against a good player. Let's say you're on the ladder and you don't really care if you win or lose, but you want to maybe try to outplay your opponent. What you could always do against a Little Knight, believe me, it's happened on TCG simulators more often than in Master Duel, surprisingly. If they activate Little Knight and I have a negate, I'll toss another card in. I'll try to extinguish. I'll try to activate another card just to trick the Little Knight into activating in response to the same chain as it activating to banish a card in the field so that I could get that 2-for-1 special where if you extinguish, they chain, you then contain it, which will contain both of the effects. It will not banish and it will not banish. See what's good? But if they know you're doing that, they'll just be like, okay, you're extinguishing me. I'm still going to banish. I'm not going to be activating to jump off. I know you're possibly baiting a contain. We're going to additional summon. To battle we go. Make sure we don't attack anything. There's no Nightmare Pain on the field to force us to attack into the Phantom of Yubels instead, but they are still going to be able to change our effect. Return 4 cards back into the deck. Draw 1. We have a Call by the Grave, which is the perfect counter to a Phantom of Yubel. Finger the Yubel. Negate. Nicely done. And a good reason to double up your Phantom of Yubel is knowing that they have an Extinguish. They can't extinguish both of them. Well, if you extinguish one while you have a hydrant, that actually would work. But otherwise, if they could get rid of one, then possibly not the other. We're going to banish with Preventer to come forth and summon, all within main phase 2, of course, as we Nightmare Pain. Nightmare Pain, not Nightmare Pain, I don't want to say Nightmare. Nightmare Phoenix, we're going to draw a card here, getting rid of the Throne. Now, if a Yubel leaves the field by card effect, it would trigger the Throne, so it still has an important active effect on field. Plus, that draw 1 feels pretty good here, as we also set up to 4 back row cards from the deck. Holy moly, there's no comeback from there. Scoop it up. Let's hop in another match. Nightmare Pain, popping the Spirit Yubel to grab a D Lotus. We have no hand trap in sight, so let's speed this up. Please allow me to get a sip instead of commentating through the regular Yubel plays. Holy moly, look at this field. We have double Monster Negate plus Negate Anything plus Link off into a Little Knight double banish plus a Phantom of Yubel negate plus an Impermanence negate. And we have 8 Disruption. Let's go. I can't count the escape since we don't have a Yama. Shift delete. What removing from the recycle bin's the same thing though, right? Poplar into Link Karibo. Poplar equipping itself into the back row. Discarding Bonfire to summon our Diablo Star. Set up the Wanted Seeker. Come forth into a Little Knight play. This is the way. What do we do about you? Little Knight attempting to banish the Varadros. We're going to negate with Apollo. Little Knight chain banishing itself plus the Apollo. We're going to Soul of Rage link off with the Little Knight. This is so important to understand the ruling. There's a specific ruling on Apollo and Little Knight that's at play here, where if the Apollo does not reduce its attack on resolution, then it doesn't negate. So if we get rid of it before it reduces its attack, the Varadros would get banished. And the Little Knight also, you have to understand that the Little Knight will not banish the opposing card if itself is one of the targets and it also leaves the field. So very, very important to, with confidence, being able to use the Soul of Rage, because if this Soul of Rage does not stop the Little Knight, you could say goodbye to your Apollo and goodbye to your Varadros, where an unexperienced player would not confidently be able to do that, so they would be afraid. They would waste their Varadros negate. You understand that? Let's do it. Negate. Little Knight on summon, banish the Poplar, come forth and get Lifton into the Apollo USA negate. The escape, as I said, I was not counting it as a form of disruption because we don't have the Yama. Typhon is here. We can't Varadros the Typhon. Typhon is going to get negated by the Phantom of Yubel. We have no Called by the Grave in sight. Varadros and our other monsters are protected. You can't swing into the Little Knight if you wanted to. We have a Terror Incarnate here. Made sure to correctly summon this into defense. Imperm, negate the Extinguish and the Typhon. The Extinguish had no effect anyway, as we now access the codes. Extra but boosted, going up to 6,300 attack. Goodbye to Apollo, wipe out the back row. We know the Extinguish is already negated, so we're gonna go for the Typhon, and let's get to it just like that. A 2-1 victory. Snake Eye Fire King versus Snake Eye Fire King. What is the trick to win the mirror match? Play Fiendsmith. There you go. We're going to be popping a fire to grab the Ponix, trigger Ponix to summon itself onto the field, chain Max C to the Ponix summon. So what is going to be our simplified play to get impermed, by the way? If we Kieran, we give them an additional draw, but we do get to search with our Ponix. We could search for a Skyburn if we want to minimize the impact of the Max C. That's exactly what we're grabbing here. Set and pass. This looks not so good, but it's actually decent. The Kieran's going to reborn the Ponix to pop a card in the field after the Skyburn pops up to 2 cards in the field and backed up by a Max C, which will unfortunately get Ash Blossomed. Ponix add back to the hand here. Double Disruption. Ash on summon, search the deck for a Poplar. As the Poplar triggers, we're now going to hit them with the Max C, playing into the Triple Tactics talent. Even with Ash negating the Max C, we could still TTT, take control or draw 2, or even look at the hand. Poplar grabbing the original Sinful, and now we're going to Skyburn. Skyburn popping the entire field. Our 2 disruption is now 0. As we summon from the deck, yep, the Kieran's going to also summon the Ponix. Wait, we're going to summon the Alcanix. So Alcanix, Ponix, and Garunix. Triple body. And of course, the Maxi is currently negated. Setting up with the Poplar, triggering the Alcanix Chainlink, blocking with the Ponix to ensure that the Alcanix effect goes through. Come to us, a Sacred King Garunix. But if the effect of Kieran has already happened, it's not going to be a form of disruption. Original Sinful, send the Poplar, summon the Oak. Let's speed this up now. Reborn the Ash. Send the Birch with the Oak, summon a Flamberge, push Alcanix into the back row, make a Hita. Reborn with the Flamberge. We have more than enough for lethal already with just this. Promethean Princess, Reborn, open field, 10,000 damage, finish him. All right. Wait a second, I forgot that you have White Forest in your deck. Bonfire, adding the Poplar. We do have an Imperm ready. We have not used up our normal summon yet, so we are sussed out on using the Impermanence. Now, what do we have here? Dead Fool Loss. We do have Kieran, pop a card in the field. Arvata, negate a monster. We have Amble Whale, pop a card in the field. Amble Whale, reborn Masquerena into a double disruption. We have Apollo USA with a double monster negate. We're at 7, mate. You think I'm done? We have Promethean Princess at 8. And yeah, there we go. 8 disruption. Plus a Maxine. What is good? Bonfire adding Poplar, Chain Maxi, give Arvata and Apollo to protect the Maxi from an Ash Blossom, but not a finger. Poplar into adding nothing as the Apollo negates. Down to 7 disruption. Board wipe, I don't really count that because it never happens, right? And I mean, I think most people are playing the Hyang. Let's see if I can click on the extra deck here. I mean, we do play it. We could possibly have it. The setup for it. Pop in the Kieran, Reborn, wiping out the Ponix. Maybe I should consider it anyway. So we'll 7 disruption. Super duper conditional, but I'll continue to add it onto it. It's only fair. I think so. So it wasn't just 8 disruption if you were offended by that small number of disrupts after a turn 1 play. It's actually 9. Thank you. Apollo, negate. What's so important is triggering the Amble Whale before Promethean and using the Masquerena before Promethean because it locks you out of using your Masquerena. Little Knight on summon, get banishing. And the White Force is still cooking. What are you doing? You haven't given up yet? Little Knight, chain, banish the Sylvie. Now the Russia can't special summon. We have the Jet Synchron discarding to Reborn, all under max freaking C. Promethean Princess, get poppin'. We haven't even used our Vata yet. This is just insanity. What else do we have? Are we going through absolutely everything? And just like that, let's hop into game 3. Let's go. Chicken game. Has good synergy with the White Forest cards, helps you draw, also sendable with any of your White Forest monsters to activate their effects. Bonfire met with an Ash Blossom negate. And did it work out as we follow up with a Snake Eye Divine Temple, putting into the back row our Snake Eye Ash, as we also set up the Snake Eye Chase, the Diablo Star. Now, Diablo Star could set up a negate here if we play that card. We do. Wow. Yeah, I mean, if we play the Chase, we play the Sinful Spoil Betrayal. So we actually have some disruption here through the Betrayal being able to negate any card in the field, plus Imperm Negate, plus Imperm Negate. That's a triple disruption, mate. And if you summon, that will trigger the field spell to summon the Ash, which will help us with a big follow-up play, plus some protection. Imperm negates the Poplar. We're now down to 2 disruption. Double it up. We have a desperate Sanctuary. Fire King Island. We wait for the Fire King Island. Smart. And now we get to negate that Fire King Island with 1 disruption left. What do? We're out of plays. Fualos is dead. And what's crazy about the Snake Eye Chase, Diablo Star, Betrayal, Negate, Diablo Star comes back. It comes back during the opponent's turn because it's sent to the grave to then set up a follow-up play. Now, unfortunately, we already used up our normal summon to the Volcanics, which normally would have been amazing here. It's no good. We're going to link Karibo, Poplar trigger, equipping the Ash Blossom to our back row. Obviously does not do anything. We have 0 disruption. And as I said, Wanted Seeker being set with the Summon Diablo Star, giving us another Diablo Star to then give us an original Sinful. What are we doing here? We're baiting disruption, even though we already had original Sinful. You have a play in mind, you throw out the baits. Bait as much as you can, then make the real plays. Grab the Poplar, Poplar, special summon, Ash, send Poplar, summon from the deck. I think we all know where this is going. I do not root for the players, I root for the decks. And if White Forest, White Woods will be the deck to win, then so be it. I am rooting for that. That's what I want to see in the grand finale. And it looks like that is coming true. But there is a Link Karibo. But now there's not. But we don't have 8,000 damage. But now we do. And just like that, lethal damage, White Forest Snake Eye to the grand finale. Very nice. All right. All right. What is this? Grand finale. Let's go. We have Samsara deload us into a Spirit of Yubel. No way to stop that effect Veiler, but because it's not an impermanence, which would have been better, the triple tactics talent is now activatable. We are going to go for the draw 2. We don't care for your hand. Come to me. Wow, that's kind of decent, as we have a Phantom of Yubel, a Finger. Not going to count the Finger as a disruption. We have Ash Blossom plus Phantom of Yubel. Backed up by Max C and called by. There is a window, a small window, where if we Phantom of Yubel negate a monster effect, we may want to consider, oh boy, we have to Finger something and then let it resolve and go to the grave, and then we Phantom of Yubel something else. That's going to be the window of before we summon a Yubel from the deck onto the field where we could dump our Full losses, just get rid of them. The problem is, if we Phantom of Yubel first, the Finger is going to block our, essentially, we're fingering ourselves with the Full loss. We're going to Link Karibo this up, Poplar trigger, hit him with the Max C, Finger versus Finger. The Finger is the best way to counter a Phantom of Yubel. But Max C is Max C. You gotta Finger the C. Negate. Now what? Poplar equipping. Little Knight. Huh. Here's what you could do. You could Phantom of Yubel, Chain Finger to Phantom of Yubel. Because it's not until on a separate chain link does the Yubel Engrave activate while you have nothing on the field. The problem is you're completely wasting your Finger, but you do get to Full loss. Is it worth it? Well, you just helped me out. Now we don't have the finger situation. Just take my finger away for me. Original Sinful. Setting up the Divine Temple. We are going to be special summoning our Snake-Eyed Diablo Star. I have a feeling we're not going to be Fool Lawson. Negate the Original Sinful Mate. Phantom of No. We're not going to activate. We just want to come back during the end phase. But we can, in fact, now use the Fool Loss on the resolution before you can link it up. That is exactly what we are doing. Now, if we look in the graveyard, this is what we'd want to do. Do I use Fool Loss? Well, in my grave, I have an Ash. In my grave being the Ash, meaning they want to Hida, steal my Ash. We want to, on the resolution, Fool Loss before the Hida comes out. That's the smart thing to do. And then knowing that they'd have to Hida, they draw a card, and then Promethean Princess, they draw a card, we pass on even making that play. Phantom of Yubel with no newly drawn card that could help us make a play, thus we're just passing back to them. We are going to be reborning the Poplar. Poplar searching our deck for a dramatic Snake Eye Ash. Did you forget that this is a White Forest deck first, Snake Eye second? And within that window of no body being on the field, we are able to Fool Loss it up. Any summon from the deck or the extra deck will result in me drawing cards. Then you also have to deal with a Yubel on the field. What are you going to do? Pass your turn, or brute force through it? Well, because you summoned while I have the field spell, it does trigger. I forgot that this is a thing. This thing is when it declares an attack involving this card and the opponent's card, any attack on either side, you could place this card to the back row to then also put their card into the back row. Yep, very nice. Good way to deal with that Yubel. The problem is the Spirit of Yubel completely screwed up that play, as it's now going to be setting up a Nightmare Pain for the very next turn. Thus, we are ending our turn, or not yet. We're going to dramatic Snake Eye Chase, set up with a Diablo Star into a back row. Now, the Diablo Star has not triggered its effect this turn yet. So we do get to dramatic chase, summon Diablo Star from the back row, set up the Betrayal to negate any card on the field. Now, the Scourge is not going to be able to negate anything. It requires us to have a Synchro on Field Attribute. We have Little Knight plus the ability to Betray. Did we do so on the activation of the effect or the card? It would be ideal in response to the activation of the effect, I would say, but that's fine. We did use it in response to the activation of the card. Snake Eye Oak sending the Snake Eye Diablo Star to then summon from the deck. Hit him with that Maxi. This back and forth, Fool Loss, Maxi, playing under the effects of Maxi or Fool Loss. What do we do? Well, it's time to lethal damage as we have 9,600 after pushing the Spirit of Yubel, as we also pushed the Yubel into the back row. Just push the Yubel back, and you can go for game. Let's go to game 2. Spirit Gates into our Dark Beckoning Beast. We have the Max C, which I have the Ash for. Negate. And with that, we have no more disruption in sight. So it's going to be a full wham bam thank you ma'am combo as we just speed this up. What did we accomplish here? Quite a lot. Looks like we are continually trading the Lord of Yama to be able to summon a Varudras, which means our Escape of the Unchained is not going to be as good. So we can't really count that as the total disruptions. Instead, we have negate a monster, negate a monster, negate a monster, negate anything, link off with a monster, Little Knight banish, Ash negate interaction with the deck, and we also have super polymerization for only 9 disruptions. Now it's potentially 10 if the Varudras has a card in the field to destroy, so it would be 9 to 10, but it's pretty much 9. Apollo, negate the Snake Eye Ash. Now, further link this up, linking it into our Linkuriboh. Sure. Original Sinful, send Linkuriboh to summon from the deck nothing as the Ash negates. Now we only have 7 disruptions versus 3 cards left in the hand, and they already used up their normal summon? Oh, I guess we're gonna not use the 7 disruptions we had left. All right, please end this duel. Let's Nightmare Throne into the D-Lotus summon, making the Axis Code Talker, and that alone is enough for game. 9 to 300 damage, lethal. Now, we have to go second. So we can't set up 8, 9, 10 plus disruptions on our very first turn. White Forest, now is your time to shine. What? Back-to-back double Fua freaking loss. And Ludmilla, you did not listen to me. Where's your finger? Where's your ash? Not only would you need one of them, you'd need both, because both of these Fua losses will be activatable. They will be drawing per special summon from the deck, which you do so with Original Sinful or the Ash effect to summon from the deck. And any summon from your extra deck will also be drawing. Not 1, but 2 cards each. Ash on summon gets Veilered. We know they're not playing Snake Eye Fire King, so the ability to Kieran dodge the Veil, it ain't there. But they always have the follow-up potential of a Diablo Star or a Bonfire. You still want to take that risk and negate a Snake Eye Ash because its secondary effect of summoning from the deck is still also negated. We're going to equip the Poplar with the Diablo Star sending to the grave, and we're not grabbing an Original Sinful. What? I was supposed to get max use out of my Fua losses, mate. What the conservative play is this? We have a Betrayal to negate any card in the field, plus the Impermanence to negate any card on the field. By negating the Ash, you made them slow down their turn where the Fua losses were no good. What is... Wow. Ending our turn. Vsauce, are you out of your mind? What the... Okay, we have double Fua loss. Are we using both? 1. Check for Ash, check for Finger. Check for Ash, check for Finger. Can you imagine? You are so smart that you don't finger the first Fua loss, then they activate a second one, and then you finger both of them with 1 finger. Who could actually pull that off? Ain't no way. I would die to see that. Double the Fua. Come forth, Flameburge. Okay. Well, oh, shoot. Nibiru is going to screw this up, isn't it? Every summon from the deck or extra deck results in a draw 2. What? No, yeah, Spirit of Yubel, if they attack, is why we didn't attack. Oh, geez, that's a problem. Okay, Spirit Gates, grabbing a Dark Beckoning Beast. We have the Dark Beckoning searching for the Spirit Gates. I gave the reason why we didn't attack. You don't want to attack unless you have lethal against Yubel. I would say that is a pretty important rule to have, yes? A little bit of life point damage when setting up a potential Spirit of Yubel could be a big mistake. Little Knight on summon, attempt to banish the Flameburge. Flameburge will be summoning the Poplar from the back row. But Flameburge is now gone. Gone for good. And is gone for good the chances of White Forest winning this duel. Little Knight taking out the Poplar. Poplar putting itself back into the back row. You still have the negate of Betrayal and Imperm. The Scourge is quite useless here. If you're going to play White Forest, can you draw one of them? We're going to send Poplar to summon from the deck an Oak. Oak on summon. Reborn the Ash. Poplar for the 3rd freaking time equipping itself. Please just finger that thing. Nope, we're going for the Snake Eye Ash instead, which was the correct play. I just wanted to see Poplar get fingered. Negate the Ash. As we equip the Poplar, Oak, send Poplar, summon a Birch. We have Snake Eye Divine Temple setting up into the back row. We're going to Imperm, negate the Little Knight, so the Diablo Star will stay. And the Diablo Star needs to stay for the use of Betrayal to be able to negate anything. What is going to be set up is our Snake Eye Diablo Star, equipping our Oak, further turning this into a Hida. Hida is going to be reborning the Almirage. Nibiru tributing off the entire field. Now, why didn't Betrayal negate? because it's gotta be a card that activates on the field in order for Betrayal to negate. So a very well done Nibiru here, ending our turn. Now, did we have a lethal damage play? We had the ability to, yes, we make Promethean, Reborn, Raging into Zealantis plus the Almirage. We'd pop Almirage and the opposing monster that would then go face down. Did they have an opposing monster, right? And which would be the Little Knight, yeah. And then we would have a non-boosted up Raging plus a regular Zealantis and a Promethean. That would have been game. That is enough. But then there was Super Poly, another piece of the equation we are not accounting for, in addition to the Nibiru. We are summoning Spirit up, yeah, Super Poly in addition to the Nibiru. Yup. As we now Spirit Gate, Nightmare Pain will be popping the Yubel, grab the Squirmer, trigger the Yubel, summon from the deck, Terry Incarnate. You have to remember here, this is a rags to riches story where our hand sucked. There's literally just Fool losses with no other real play. Well, you Nibiru'd me, I Nibiru you. How big is that token? Only 3,400 for how many cards was tributed? Holy moly. Spirit of Yubel followed up with the Spirit Gates, grabbing the Dark Beckoning Beast. Shavara popping the Spirit of Yubel. Spirit of Yubel summon the Yubel. And let's now make a Soul of Anguish. Linking off with that Nibiru. Can someone calm Vsauce down? What are you doing? Absolute mad lad we have here, making an access code talker, but boost up by the Anguish's link rating that is, banishing the Almirage to take out the Scourge, banishing the Dark Link to take out the Silvera. As we now Spirit Gates discard to Reborn the Squirmer, return from Engrave back in the deck to summon 8,000 damage after clearing the entire field. That's right, Chaos Angel on summon, banish the field spell, nothing in the field, nothing in the hand, over 8,000 damage. Lethal. Bro, you did that through a Nibiru. What the heck? How? Through Nibiru. The fear with Nibiru is they could summon a Phantom of Yubel to negate the Nibiru. So we're going to be a bit jumpy with when we have to summon that Nibiru, right? Very well done. The final meta weekly of no Fiendsmith. Oh no, the final event. As I was saying earlier, this may be referred to as the good old days of Master Duel before the apocalypse. Are we exaggerating? Well, we'll find out this week. Let's see what happened. A quick little snapshot into history. The final tournament before Fiendsmith is Snake Eye Fire King, which we're going to cross out the Fire King part and it will be Snake Eye Fiendsmith. Or is it Fiendsmith Snake Eye? Some people get upset on the order of where you put the name of the deck. So we have 160 players here. Good job. Snake Eye Fire King clapping it up. A final look at what the tier list will be before Fiendsmith ruins everything. Oh my goodness. It may just look the same. It'll be Yubel Fiendsmith, Brandon Fiendsmith. Well, probably one of the few decks not playing Fiendsmith actually. Snake Eye Fiendsmith. Tenpai does play Fiendsmith. Well, a version of the TCG does. Voiceless Fiendsmith? I have to look at that later. I don't know. Now, let's check out the decks. Ice Barrier. Mo. With the main deck here, good job. Very happy to see this. Horus, 54 cards. That is wild. And we have our extra deck looking good there. Moving on from Ice Barrier, we have Crystal Beast. Societia, 60 card Crystal Beast. Absolute insanity. Holy moly. Wombo combo out the wazoo. And then let's look at the extra deck. Looking nice. And then we have Kashtira, Luigi Gundam, 40 cards, looking good. Stun Kashtira is definitely a deck. Yup. And so good job, Luigi Gundam. What else we have here? Ninja, Slayton with the big 60. Oh my goodness. Good job, Slayton. We have the dancing leaves at the bottom here. It is quite a lot to get into one screen capture here. And then here is the extra deck. Good job, Slayton. What else do we have? Matchmech. I think this might be the end of Matchmech. Terahert's the bottom here. YD Sniper. Congratulations on doing well. And then White Forest. Hi, what happened? 44 cards, White Forest. All right. Very nice. And then Branded. Chris. Normally. So I think Chris wanted to prove to you all that he can, in fact, do well without Sprite. And that's exactly what Chris did. Look at this history of Sprite. Sprite. Okay, we played some non-Sprite before then, just spriting it up every single week. And then we clapped it up with Branded also. Chris, yes, you are good even when you are not playing Sprite. Branded, nicely done. And then we have Stigmata with a more interesting build of Branded, playing the Chaos Space, Allure of Darkness. This is just the main deck so far. Chaos Creator. This is what gets me excited to play decks differently and then also continue to do well. There is the extra deck. We got a more synchro-ish variant of the Branded deck type. Now, I was checking out April's 20-hour Branded guide a little bit. I think maybe I watched about 30 minutes of it, and I heard something shocking in the 20-hour video. They were unironically saying that the Branded community has a backup plan to still play Branded if Branded Fusion were to get banned. And that backup plan is to just synchro. What the hell? They're already planning it. Okay. We have Rescue Ace. Nikki Boy is here. Main deck plus extra deck. Looking good. Good job to you. Okay. And there's another one. Kid Art. 45 cards. Got the Super Poly up in here. Good way to break the field. Super Poly in both of them. Lots of Super Poly in today's event, I think. Yubel. First place Vsauce. Well done. Got the Vardross, which we are normally seeing the Yama was helping to summon. So it does kind of make the Escape of Unchained not as good. Because of us continually using Lord of Yama, I would think you would maybe want to consider the other Unchained trap that Reborn's in the graveyard instead of using the Escape. Or maybe both. So you have the option to set the other instead when you're making the Vardross play. Possibly. And what do we have here? Rhaegar. 40 card Yubel. Very nice. And then the final decks. Snake Eye Fire King. Non-stop DC. Anything crazy in the main or extra? We got double Fua Loss with double Max C. Okay. And then Yuma. Double Fua Loss, double Max C. There is the extra deck plus the main. Then we have Kindiaka, triple Fua Loss, double Max C. Yep, looking good. Then Fictinium, triple Fua Loss, double the C. And there is the extra deck. And I believe that is it. So there you go, the final event before Fiendsmith takes over. We out.